was so creative you almost believed it. Private Miller shows up to formation 2 hours late, soaking wet, covered in mud, missing his left boot, and carrying what looked like a medieval shield made out of a stop sign. I'm thinking drugs, alcohol, maybe he got rolled by locals downtown. Standard Friday night disaster. But before I could even start the interrogation, he throws his hands up and goes, "I can explain everything, but you're not going to believe it." Kids got my attention. In my 8 years as an MP, I've heard everything. DUI excuses, family emergency lies, the classic "my alarm didn't go off" routine. This better be good. Miller takes a deep breath and launches into the most elaborate story I've ever heard. Claims he woke up at 0500 like always, but when he stepped outside his barracks, he found a note pinned to his door. Handwritten message saying his girlfriend Sarah had been kidnapped by her ex-boyfriend, some local guy named Jake who just gotten out of county lockup. According to Miller, this Jake character was some kind of survivalist nutcase who lived in the woods outside Clarksville. The note had GPS coordinates and a threat. If Miller called the police or brought back up Jake, would hurt Sarah. Had to come alone, unarmed, before sunrise. Now I'm thinking this is either complete fiction or the dumbest thing any soldier has ever done. But Miller keeps going. Says he borrowed a buddy's truck, drove out to these coordinates in the middle of nowhere, found an old hunting cabin, Sarah's car parked outside. He approaches the cabin, and this Jake guy comes out with a shotgun. Turns out it's not a kidnapping. It's some twisted challenge. Jake's been planning this for months, ever since Sarah started dating Miller. Wants to prove he's the better man through trial of combat. I'm rolling my eyes at this point. Sounds like bad reality TV. But Miller pulls out his phone and shows me photos. There's the cabin. There's a crazy-looking dude with a shotgun. There's Sarah tied to a chair, looking terrified. Jake had constructed this whole obstacle course in the woods. Rope climbing, mud crawls, puzzle solving, the works. Winner gets the girl. Loser gets beaten up and left in the forest. Miller had to complete it without calling for help, or Jake would hurt Sarah. The shield? Jake made him craft it from materials he found in the woods. Hence the stop sign he'd apparently ripped out of the ground. Had to use it to defend against tennis balls fired from some homemade cannon Jake had built. Miller shows me video on his phone. Shaky footage of him army crawling under barbed wire while this lunatic fires tennis balls at him. Kids documented this whole thing like it's American Ninja Warrior meets Deliverance. 2 hours of this insanity. Miller finally completes all the challenges. Jake, being a man of his word apparently, releases Sarah and gives Miller his truck keys back. But not before destroying Miller's phone and taking his boot as a trophy. The whole drive back, Sarah's crying. Miller's trying to process what just happened. And that's when they realized Jake had slashed Miller's tires as a parting gift. Had to walk 5 miles in one boot to get cell service and call for help. By the time AAA showed up and they got back to base, formation was already over. Miller spent the last hour trying to clean up enough to be presentable, but gave up and just ran straight to the company area. I'm staring at this kid, covered in evidence of whatever the hell he'd been through, holding a stop sign shield, and I realize I actually believe him. The story's too crazy to be made up. Plus he's got photos, videos, and Sarah's statement backing him up. I called his girlfriend. Sure enough, she confirms the whole story. Even gives me Jake's full name and address. Had to drive out to the cabin with local police. Jake's whole setup. Guy had been planning this for months. Arrested him on kidnapping charges. Miller got off with a counseling statement for failing to report a crime in progress. His chain of command was so impressed with the creativity of his excuse that they submitted it for the unit newsletter. Miller and Sarah are engaged now. Sometimes the most unbelievable excuses turn out to be completely true. And sometimes the best military training is learning how to think on your feet when some lunatic challenges you to medieval combat.